Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein, and clearly I still don't know how to use this site. There we go. Thanks everyone for joining here on a Friday. Let's get this weekend started off on a high note. Good show today. I know I've gotten a lot of heat for not talking enough hockey. We are going to at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wager Talks. Andrew McKinnis going to join the show. He's got props for game ones coming up tomorrow in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. So I am super excited. I hope you meant, by the way, Mark, the dynamite intro. I hope you meant the actual intro and not me messing up StreamYard for the 80,000th time. Also today, Mid-Major Matt. It's a Friday. Pretty much Mondays and Fridays, we're going to bring Mid-Major Matt on, talk Major League Baseball props. He's got a huge slate of Major League Baseball props on this big MLB slate. Matt's coming 5:10. Andrew talking NHL at 5:30. If you need inspiration to start off your weekend, turn on this Diamondbacks and Cubs game. You could feel down, but never out. This D-backs team, I was watching this game, sound on, all afternoon. I love it. Wrigley in the afternoon, 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Get afternoon baseball every Friday when they're home. It was 2-0 for Chicago. Then in the fifth, the D-backs scored a run. Then the Cubs plated 5 in the bottom of the 7th. So at that point, it was 7-1. Cubbies are up. Going into the 8th, I muted my TV and I was like, this game's over. This game stinks. The Diamondbacks just put up 10 runs in the 8th. 10. It's finally the middle of the 8th. That was insane. It is 11-7 Diamondbacks. So you could be down, but never out. That line on the D-backs was a fishy kind of line today. It moved 10 cents against Arizona, despite Corbin Burns starting for them. The Cubs starter today was Colin Ray. The wind's been blowing out at Wrigley. It was a high total. 10.5. It moved to 11. It's an 18-run game at the moment. And it didn't look that way at first. It was 2-1 until the 7th inning. It's pretty crazy. Corbin Burns' strikeout prop today was 5.5. So that's another trend that you guys should definitely be looking at is the Cubs because, let's see, Corbin Burns only had 3 strikeouts today. So the trend on the Cubs continues because the Cubs are one of the lower K rate teams in baseball, averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game, but it's really the righty starters. So it's now 13 of the 17 righty starters to face the Cubs have gone under their strikeout prop. Keep an eye on those Cubbies. The book hasn't caught on. If you see such a difference, I mean, it is like, we're talking 4 and 13 over under K props against the Cubs. So the book has not caught on to the Cubs not striking out. The reason they haven't caught on is because the Cubs struck out a lot last year. It's a big turnaround. Keep your eye on that. Righties against the Cubs. Corbin Burns' number was 5.5. Under was -130. That one won. He only had 3 strikeouts. Colin Ray had 5. He went over his 3.5 strikeout prop. Arizona, they have about the same K rate against righties as the Cubs, but here's the difference. Righty starters are now 6 and 8 over under their K prop. So again, Arizona last year was a team that didn't strike out a lot, similar rates to this year. So the book knows that they're a low K rate team. The book has not struck out yet for the Cubs. So keep riding that Cubbies train. Last night, where the Prop Queen newsletter was right and wrong, there wasn't that much yesterday, just baseball. So yesterday afternoon, we cashed that Davis Martin under 4.5 Ks against the A's. I know, Sean Michael, you're talking about the A's and a 7.5 with Freddie Peralta. We'll talk about that with Mid-Major Matt because that one's going to be a fun conversation about the two of us. Are we going to take our trend? Are we not going to take our trend with an A's on the mound at home? It is definitely something that we've got to consider. It's a very high number against these A's, who, again, all series long against the White Sox is all we saw. 4.5s for these average pitchers, and they all went under. Michael Lorenzen, the royal lock of the day yesterday, he also went under his 4.5 K prop, had 3 against the Tigers in 4 2/3 innings. Where we went wrong yesterday, Taj Bradley did not go over his 6.5 strikeout prop against my Yankees because why bet anything that's negative about the Yankees? I continue to lose that way. The fishy line of the day also didn't hit. The Mets ended up winning that game against the Cardinals 4-1. The Mets are under a lot of heat here in New York, so good luck to them. Yeah, that, and I have to go, like, the NBA is killing me. I keep talking to Hakeem. The NBA props, you just can't handicap them the same way that you handicap them all year long. NBA props are profitable for me every regular season. Comes to the playoffs, death. You got to go by narratives and matchups. It's it. Can't go by the numbers anymore. They're out the window. Can't really even use numbers, matchups from the regular season. It doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, the Cubs just hit a 3-run home run. It is now 11-10, Arizona in the bottom of the 8th inning. This game's wild. Jeez. Seriously, I'm inspired. I am inspired by these two teams. This is why I couldn't be an athlete. I couldn't be an athlete because, like, when I played tennis, if I got down a set, I was out. I wasn't going to try to fight back. To win 2 more sets now? No way. I'm out. I'll try again tomorrow. I'm bad. I'm so negative. I don't want to, like, if I was down 7-1, it's a long season. I'd be like, whatever. Mail it in. We'll see you tomorrow. These two? Damn. You're down 7-1. You climb back. You're up 11-7. Now it's 11-10. Weather's crazy. I saw everybody talk about the weather at Wrigley today with the wind blowing out with like 20-mile-an-hour winds. Carson Kelly 2-home run game. This game is drunk. Okay, Mark. You need a side today. I'm going to give you one of those. But not I'm going to talk about one of these games in Fishy Lines. Fishy Lines is coming up a little bit later in the show, so you have to stick around. One of these games is a fishy line, so you definitely have to stay away from it. Jessica said 19 is the record for both teams in the 8th inning with Cleveland-Boston on April 10th, 1977. Jesus. 19 runs scored in an inning is insane. God. I just can't believe that this game's happening. All right, Mid-Major Matt is here. Let's bring on Mid-Major Matt so we can talk, well, how crazy this game is. We're going to talk some props. He's got a lot of props today. Strikeout prop that I really need to ask him about. I've saved it for today. Oh, and before I bring Matt on, Nick Lodolo is on paternity leave, so he got the hint to get out of my life. Thank you to Cincinnati Reds pitcher for taking paternity leave. Mid-Major Matt joining the show. What's going on, Matt? Happy Friday.
Nick Lodolo's on my list too, so I'm right there with you now. He couldn't handle the Mariners. He went over his K-prop in that game, but of course he couldn't hold them down run-wise, and so now he's on my list too.
Yeah, he should stay on the paternity list. I'll give him an extended leave of absence, actually, just for our sake. I think that works.
Yeah, it's certainly, yeah, I'm done. I mean, the Mariners are a team that strikes out a lot and doesn't hit very well against lefties, and then he couldn't do much against them. That just didn't make any sense.
No, this game doesn't make sense either between the Cubs and the D-backs. I can't believe it. But what I can believe, Matt, is that Corbin Burns went under his 5.5 K prop against the Cubbies. The book still hasn't caught on to the Cubs either, with 14 or 13 of the 17 pitchers to face them that are righties going under their K prop.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that because the lean at least was heavy to the under, so maybe that'll tell the books to put the number down a little bit. Of course, we took advantage of some 4.5s with the A's against the White Sox, and they gave us 4.5s every time, and then they all went under. So maybe the books are still slow and coming around on some of these trends.
Another trend that I have to ask you about, and I did intentionally not mention it to you today in our morning conversation about strikeout props, Freddie Peralta's 6.5 K prop. This number is too high, Matt. I mean, we're talking about our trend with the Athletics and how the Athletics have had 14 of the 17 righties they faced go under their strikeout prop, averaging about 4 strikeouts a game. What do you think of Freddie tonight?
Yeah, the problem is he's at home, and he strikes out a lot more at home. If this was in Oakland or Sacramento, if this was in with the A's at home, I probably would have gone under, but I just can't do it with Freddie Peralta at home. And he's so much of a better pitcher there, and you get that A's team out of their ballpark. They're probably not as good. So we can both kick ourselves when it does go under, but I can't do it in Milwaukee.
I know. That's what I said in the newsletter this morning. I mentioned it because it felt sacrilegious to not mention that we had a 6.5 against the Athletics, who just literally went under in all 3 games of a 4.5 K prop against very mediocre pitchers with the Chicago White Sox. Freddie Peralta, definitely not mediocre. I'm staying away. I'm just saying it's a high 6.5, and he's walking a lot of batters recently. But stay away, Spot. Just don't bet his over. It's like fishy line central. We could talk let's see, we've got some other props to talk about. Nope, hold on. I need to remove that and do this. That's better. This is, I have your other props, the outs props in another graphic. These are Matt's K props and hits allowed props. So let's start with Peterson under 5.5 Ks. You're laying the heavy juice. Why?
Yeah, and Peterson's a guy that I think is going to struggle in this one. Wind is blowing out in New York, so I expect a lot of runs in this game, so I don't think he's going to last long. The only person who has gone over 5.5 against him, the Cardinals, was Kikuchi. I know that was an unfortunate loss for you earlier in the season, another reason why you do not like Usai. But if you look at some of the other guys, Newcomb had 5. Christopher Sanchez, who strikes out a lot of people, only had 3. Framber Valdez only had 3. So I think a lot of runs could be scored in this game, but I do not think there will be a lot of strikeouts. This kind of continues the trend from last year where the Cardinals did not strike out against lefties. I expect Peterson to give up a lot of runs and to struggle to make it potentially even 5 innings with the wind blowing out in New York.
Hint, hint. This next one is one Matt and I agreed upon. Typically, when Matt and I agree on a strikeout prop, it does well. So hopefully this one continues. Bryce Elder under 4.5 Ks for the Atlanta Braves. Why are you going with Elder?
I mean, the Twins are another team. The Twins are averaging below 4 strikeouts a game against righties, 12 unders, 4 overs. I mean, the only guys who have had more than 5 strikeouts or had 5 strikeouts or more as a right-sider is Sonny Gray, Hunter Brown, and Seth Lugo, and Clay Holmes. That's it. And I know it's a weird group of people, but I just don't think Bryce Elder's very good, and I don't know how deep he's going to go in this game. And so I'm going to take advantage of a 4.5 here that I think is a little too high with a team that averages less than 4.5 strikeouts. Heck, they average 4.5 strikeouts if you include the lefties. And that's only because they have 11 strikeouts and 9 strikeouts in their 2 games against Southpaw. So give me the under 4.5 here for Bryce Elder. I'm going to take a bad pitcher against a team that likes to make a lot of contact.
I agree with you. I can't believe this game. The Cubs Kyle Tucker just hit a home run. This game is drunk. And I'm going to tell you what happened because I did MLB Network today. I pre-recorded a hit for MLB Tonight. Everyone tune in. I bet you at MLB Network, while they were waiting for their programming to start after this game, someone probably said, oh, this game's going quickly. 7-1, game's going to be over soon. Nope. 8th inning, 12-11 Cubbies. That's insane, Matt. Like, when was the last time that we saw this many runs scored in 1 inning?
I mean, it's pretty crazy, but it is also Chicago and the wind is blowing out. So that's, just the craziness that we see at Wrigley. That's why we don't see totals for these games until the morning when we can figure out what the weather's going to be because it makes that much of a difference.
See, weather matters. 15 runs scored in the 8th inning so far in Wrigley today. The wind was blowing out at 20-mile-an-hour winds. Oh, no, Jessica's on the opposite side of Elder from us. Sorry, Jessica. We're taking the under. We already did. You also in this Milwaukee and Athletics game, you're looking at JT Kinn. Why?
Yeah, JT Kinn's not good. And when you look,
not good.
I mean, that's part of it, but you also look at this Milwaukee lineup, and as part of the spreadsheet, for those who don't have access to the spreadsheet, I have hits allowed, and they have had 8, 5, 4, 5, 4, 6 in their last 6 games. So, this is a lineup that's hitting well, and if you actually go back even further, it goes 8, 8, 5, 9, 5. So this is a lineup that's really hot right now, and Ginn's going to need to cover a little bit of innings, and so I know it's a lot of juice, and I hate laying this much juice, especially for a hits allowed prop. Those are really tough, especially overs, because you do need the guy to be in there. Look, I would need him to potentially spread out some hits over multiple innings. That's kind of how I envision these things going, unless you're, Patrick Corbin or Cal Quantrill. But I think he's going to go over his hits allowed here because Milwaukee's a hot lineup right now.
I could see it, especially at home with the Brew Crew. I also really like this play on Cole Reagan's over 17.5 outs. Reagan's has been on absolute fire recently. I mean, oh my God, there's another home run. Suzuki, Saya Suzuki, 13-11 Cubs now, bottom of the 8th. Jeez. Sorry, I'm really distracted by this because I'm just in absolute amazement that these teams just fought back the way that they did. Okay, Reagan's over 17.5 outs. We are talking about a pitcher that I'm pretty sure in his last 3 outings had double-digit strikeouts, Matt.
Yes, 100%. And the Tigers historically are 4 for 49 with 16 strikeouts against Reagan's. And we just saw the Royals use a lot of bullpen yesterday. Good call on the Lorenzen under. I wish I would have nailed it as well. I think the Tigers are a sneaky under in certain situations, but this is a team that's seen six lefties so far, and 3 of them have gone over this number: Martin Perez, Carlos Rodon, and Max Fried. The other ones were Tyler Alexander, Jose Quintana, and Snell. And Quintana might have gone a little bit longer, but he went 5 2/3. And so I like Cole Reagans against a team he historically is good against. And I think he can go 6 innings in this one.
I almost liked his strikeout prop today, but 7.5 was a bit too much for me. 6.5 I would have definitely considered. I am not considering this. I mentioned this on VSiN today. They asked me if I liked Carlos Rodon over 6.5 strikeouts. I said, listen, the numbers tell you that it should hit because numbers-wise, Rodon is a K machine when he's in the game long enough. When Rodon is not in the game long enough, then I get concerned. I'm assuming you like his over outs because the Yankees bullpen has got to be gassed.
Yeah, I mean, Warren only going an inning and 2/3 yesterday. Rodon obviously has a little bit of a history with the Rays, and he's better at home than on the road, which is a little bit of a concern here. But when you look at lefties against the Rays so far this year, Kyle Freeland went 6 innings on opening day. Traditionally, when these pitchers aren't even supposed to go that long, Kikuchi went 6 innings in a game that I was so happy he did because it was a miracle. He gave up a grand slam in the first inning and still managed to go 6 innings. We had the outs over in that one. Chris Sale went under this, but Chris Sale's not Chris Sale this year. He seems to be struggling, and Newcomb only went 4 2/3, which was really odd because he gave up no runs in that game and was pitching pretty well. So lefties against the Rays are traditionally pretty good, and so I'm going to take a shot on Rodon to go the 6 innings that the Yankees need to help that bullpen and your sanity as well.
Gosh, I can't. I'm glad I'm going to dinner tonight and not watching this game. I can't watch Rodon give up another 4-run performance. And honestly, that's not even that bad. Oh God, what's going on in this game? The thing with the Yankees too, and I'm curious. Oh, I see now. Mantiply got hit by a comebacker in the leg. Anyway, so the Yankees at Steinbrenner Field. You are somebody that in the beginning of the season absolutely loves to look at like spring training. How much did you look at the Yankees at Steinbrenner Field in spring training?
I mean, a little bit. I think the more concerning thing
I knew you would.
The more concerning thing now is we now have to worry about Tampa Bay pop-up showers. We never had to worry about that. Like, granted, they played in a terrible stadium, but they played inside, and so we didn't have to worry about Florida rain. And now there's already been 2 times this season where they've kind of called for a chance of showers, and that kind of scared me on some winners, on some overs that I potentially would have played. But, like, that's the thing you kind of have to worry about now is Florida rain in Tampa Bay now.
Yeah, you're okay with it because you like the over on outs. So I guess there's not really much concern for rain.
Correct. Yeah, there is none tonight. Knock on wood, thank goodness. But yeah, I just look. I think Rodon's been up and down this season, but I know he's capable of it, and I know that the manager will give him a little bit longer leash if he's struggling slightly because of how much bullpen usage they had yesterday and they have had in the past.
You've got one more play here for Anderson, Tyler Anderson, the Angels starter, to go over his outs against the Giants. What are we, like, no longer fans of the Giants and their bats, Matt?
So I'm so mad at myself because I should have taken the over on Sanchez's strikeouts. He was home. It was the Giants, but I had already lost with Luzardo earlier in that series. So I kind of get a little leery of playing the same trend. But the Giants against lefties have been brutal. Our guy Nick Lodolo went 6 innings. Framber Valdez went 9 innings.
Nope, you can't say that. Nope.
I mean, I'm joking.
I
I
know.
was joking when I said that. Framber Valdez had five innings. Actually, Lodolo went 6 innings in both of his starts against the Giants. Then you look at Rodon, who went 5 2/3. Luzardo went 5 1/3, and then Sanchez went 7 innings. Tyler Anderson's another guy that you're good for usually 90 to 100 pitches, whether he's going well or whether he's not. And so this is a Giants team that's traditionally struggled against left-handed starting pitchers. And I almost took his strikeouts out, but I couldn't because usually Anderson's an under guy for me, so I couldn't break my trend. And so
And I'm
instead,
pretty sure he's juiced.
It probably was. That's another reason why. But I just think he's going to go over 16.5 outs here against a lineup that struggles against lefties. The only problem is if he does get a lot of strikeouts, it might shrink his outing a little bit because of, the number of pitches involved. But like, he's a guy that they traditionally let go 90 and 100. So I like Tyler Anderson over here. And I'll certainly be mad because usually he's an under guy for me, but I figured I'll take a shot on it.
I understand. It was also, I always love to like chuckle a little in the morning when I see the strikeout props come out. Matt and I always make jokes about 2 pitchers, Logan Webb and Max Fried. They are your solid 5.5s that tend to look good and always end up with 5 or 6 strikeouts. It is always spot on. Of course, today, Logan Webb is a solid 5.5 with heavy juice, though, to the overmat.
Yeah, and the Angels are a team that they're a hard one to
finicky.
figure out. Neither you nor I have played anybody in their game so far this year.
Since last year, I'm just off on them.
Yeah, you were 1-4 last year. I played them 12 times, but like if you look, they've gone over in 6 straight games. That's after going under in about 6 games. So they're one of those teams that you kind of ride the wave in terms of the contact. When they're making contact, you look at their unders, but now they're not making contact. I mean, Tyler Mahle had 9 strikeouts. Rocker had 8 strikeouts, and he hadn't had more than like 3 or 4 so far this season. So this is an Angels lineup you kind of want to pick on a little bit, but then it will change really quickly, and they'll start making more contact.
I'll tell you what also has changed quickly, and I just want to get your thoughts. I'm going to talk about this game myself a little bit later, but the Marlins and the Phillies are a really fun matchup pitching-wise tonight. Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara up against Zach Wheeler. I saw a 10-cent move against the Phillies overnight with Zach Wheeler on the mound, but Wheeler's strikeout prop was minus 140 to the over. He's at home. I get it. And he's up against this Miami team, which is averaging just under 7 strikeouts a game against righty starters.
Yeah, and I think that the weather is going to be warmer today. I think some of the numbers that we're seeing from some of the star pitchers in terms of less strikeouts is because it's been cold. It's supposed to be about 70 tonight, going down a little bit as the game goes along. But I think some of these guys just aren't very good in the cold. But I almost put Wheeler's outs over here because I just feel like he's due for one of these dominant outings. And the Marlins are a team that, look, he can run through pretty much. It was 18.5 with money to the plus. On the over. I just think tonight's game. Alcantara has had problems in Philadelphia. He's better. If this game was in Miami, I'd be looking at some more of his props, but like it's in Philly and he's struggled in Philadelphia. The more fun game is tomorrow when it's Taijuan Walker against Cal Quantrill.
Oh boy.
So that's
and I'm working tomorrow, so I'm going to actually be writing the newsletter and handicapping. So I'll look out for it. What do you like about it?
I mean, I'm guessing we're not going to get a 4.5 for Cal Quantrill's hits, so a 5.5 is probably in play here. Look, I threaded the needle last time. Looked at the books last time for Cal Quantrill had 5.5 hits and 14.5 outs. As I've said, like Cal Quantrill, for as bad as he is sometimes, he'll give you 5 innings. Like he will go 5 innings. His line will be ugly and stuff like that. So if we get another 14.5 outs, I might go over his outs once again. By the way, also, this is the joke that's running around Philadelphia. Jesus Luzardo is pitching on Sunday on Easter, so everybody's going to be betting on him.
That's amazing. That's great insight. He's got to pitch well.
I mean, you would think so. On Easter.
Yeah. Huh. I like that stat. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. But Sunday, I'm probably taking the day off handicapping. 6 days a week with this stuff is a lot. But I know you do it every day, and you're updating the strikeout prop spreadsheet and the baseball prop spreadsheet all the time. What would you say is your favorite bet tonight?
So I would say my favorite bet tonight is probably the under on Peterson. I just think that this game's going to see a lot of runs. The wind is blowing out in New York, and the Cardinals usually hit lefties pretty well. It's that one. And sorry, Jessica, much like you, I mean, the elder bet under, I think that it sets up nicely for an under. Somehow, one of us is going to win. Either it's me and Ariel or Jessica. And obviously, we hope it's us, but we do appreciate you, Jessica, and how you watch the show.
Yeah, no, we do appreciate Jessica and all her help. The Cards are plus 146 at the Mets. The Mets are minus 174. Yeah, the Cardinals are a team that last year they were averaging like 4.7 strikeouts a game. The book got pretty spot on with them, 23 and 24 over under their K prop. They're one like the Angels. I just never really handicap strikeout props against them.
The other thing that's interesting is I want to take the under of Michaelis. I had the under again with the Phillies. That didn't work out. Michaelis had 5, I think.
Nothing ever works out against your own team.
Pretty much. I think I've hit one bet in the Phillies game so far this season, but like the Mets should, and by all accounts, I guess what we're saying here is this could be an over tonight in this Mets game. In theory, it should be. Like the Mets, as bad as they are, they should have hit Michaelis hard tonight. Like this should be a Juan Soto 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, home runs sort of night. Like I put a little sprinkle, and I don't do home run props for the most part. I think Soto's due tonight. I know that a moron on WFAN was saying how bad he was and everything, but like tonight feels like a Soto night against Michaelis. Heck, you and I could probably hit Miles. So like I feel like the Mets should win something like 10-5 tonight in theory.
So Jesse Winker actually has really good numbers against Michaelis. He's 6 for 16, so hitting 375 with 2 home runs and a double. There are 2 players that are not good against Michaelis. Brandon Nimmo, he's 2 for 19 with a double and a home run. Pete Alonso, 3 for 18 with the double against Michaelis, hitting 167. So those would be the ones I'd stay away from. Soto, I didn't see any drastic numbers like those 3. I think you're talking about Sal Licata, right? And what he said about. Here's the thing. Sal, last year, I was on SNY with him. Yankees got Soto. He made a plea for the Mets to go and steal Soto this year from the Yankees after. And he was like, listen, enjoy your Juan Soto year because the Mets are going to get him next year. I said, ha, 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 ha. He was all gung-ho Juan Soto. And he came out this week and said, I was a Juan Soto guy. I'm disappointed. He's mad. He has a right to be mad. I don't blame him. Wouldn't he be mad if the Phillies if Bryce Harper never amounted to what the Phillies wanted him to be?
I mean, so far he kind of hasn't amounted. We have 0 World Series under him. He has the bedlam at the bank. That's about it. And he's king panderer because he loves pandering to the city, which we love back that he does. And the gender reveal thing was interesting. But like, I'd like Bryce to play a little bit better in the postseason. That's for sure.
Hey, one player doesn't carry you to a World Series. One player can potentially carry you to the Super Bowl or to an NBA championship, but it took Ohtani a little bit to get one, and he certainly didn't get one with the Angels.
I mean, listen, I like Bryce Harper. I would like to see him do a little bit more in the postseason, but you're right. I'd like to see them all do a little bit more in the postseason, and I'd like Trey Turner to actually show up in the postseason, but this isn't a Philly show, and you don't want to get me started on
Trey Turner does have very good numbers against Sandy Alcantara, though. He's hitting 361, so he's 13 for 36 with 2 doubles and a homer against him in his career, so maybe tonight.
Or JT Realmuto, who's 10 for 35 with 2 homers against Alcantara.
See, now you... okay, this game. Wait, 3 outs in the top, and then oh my God, the game's over. The game has ended. The Cubbies win 13-11. We go over an 11 total. The D-backs almost did it by themselves. The Cubs went over the total by themselves. The final 13-11. We scored 24 runs in this game at Wrigley with the wind blowing out. So whoever took the over, you're a genius. Mid-Major Matt, you are also a genius. I've got to let Andrew McKinnis come on and talk some hockey since I keep getting heat that we don't talk enough pucks on this show. Matt, good luck this weekend. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Now, oh, nope. See, I keep doing this. Now coming on the show. First time on the show. Pretty sure it's only like the second time that I've been on a show with him. I think we did do one fun day in Vegas, so at least I've met him in real life, which doesn't usually happen in these networks. There's no one else that I would go and look to, aside from maybe his good friend Carmine. I would talk to Carmine too. But these two over at Wager Talk, they are great at talking pucks. In fact, his buddy Carmine gave me a sweatshirt that basically represented it. You guys that wanted hockey, I'm giving you hockey. Please welcome Wager Talk's own Andrew McKinnis to the stage. I keep doing this. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining the show.
What an intro. Thanks for having me. Really good to be here with you. Love being able to be the guy that can represent hockey. Everyone talks about in these lanes. Everyone tries to kind of fill too many spots, right? You hear so many people handicapping a million sports. And lately what I've been trying to do is just stay in my lane. I do a little bit of baseball as well, but mostly hockey and CFL, the two Canadian niche sports. Summer, I'm CFL, and the winter, I'm hockey. We try and keep things rolling with that. And by the way, congratulations on this show. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Andrew was so nice in reaching out and saying if I ever needed hockey, he'd love to come on. And I said, absolutely. You let me know the first day you're available. I need hockey. I don't know much about it. I've watched a few games this year. I've watched Team USA versus Team Canada, and I watched Ovechkin break the goals record. That's pretty much the extent of my hockey knowledge of this year. So first, we're going to start with props because that's what this show is all about. Andrew's got props. The games start tomorrow for the Stanley Cup playoffs. So for anybody that's looking for NHL props, and hold on one second because I don't know why it deleted you from the stage.
There we go.
Your NHL props, you've got 4 of them. So I'm not even going to try to say any names. I'm assuming that these are markets, though, that you like targeting because I know that the playoffs are very different than the regular season.
Absolutely. They are really different. And I think that I actually have more success betting player props in the postseason than I do in the regular season. And
you're not the first person to tell me that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that there's not randomness in the postseason as well, because teams can have depth. Teams can have, guys that are on the fourth line that can produce and stuff. And but I just find in the postseason, you can find guys that can get the job done. So this guy, Josh Morrissey, his nickname is Josh Norrisy, and the reason why is because the Norris Trophy is the award for the best defenseman in the league. This guy is one of the most offensive defensemen in the league, and the way you look at this, Ariel, is that you can bet the point prop at a minus price, but most of the time when defensemen get points, they get assists. So you're better off taking that point prop into an assist prop, turn it into a plus price at plus 115. And I think that for the Winnipeg Jets, their offense has been the best tool for them this year that we've seen in years. I mean, for them, they've had a lot of good defensive years and good goaltending years, but they've really turned it on with their offense. And I think their defensemen have jumped up into the rush a lot. So also he's out there on the power play as well. So plus 115 for Morrissey to get an assist is one that I really like. And Nino Niederreiter, try saying that one 10 times fast.
Yeah, that was the one that I was worried about.
I like him over 1.5 shots on goal. This one's, the minus 135 price, but I'll tell you,
it's a great market though. I love the shots on goal market.
Even for like some of the best players, like Kyle Connor, who plays in the Winnipeg Jets, his number is over 3.5 at like minus, and you can get over 4.5 at plus money. In the playoffs, it's so hard to come by for these shots, right? So I like looking at the over 1.5 shots on goal, guys. Niederreiter is the left wing, second line left winger, and he kind of constantly goes to either 2 or 3 shots. And I know that in most sports, you might not want to look at that and be like, well, he's only going 1 over, but I know you're a K-prop person. It's very similar. Like this guy is just consistently going over by 1 or 2 shots on goal. And I'll happily take that. So those are my 2 in that game.
Yeah, that's the market that I've always targeted. But I've always noticed that even in that assist market, you can get some very good value and plus money. People probably always look for just like someone to score a goal. It's in my mind like an anytime home run prop. Right. There's not that many goals, especially in the hockey playoffs.
Yeah.
You're going to be so focused on defense. When you get also like before we get to your other props, how do you handicap the first, let's say 3 games differently in a series than you would games 5, 6, and 7?
Well, there's 2 ways you can look at it. Some series, they start high scoring, and then as the series progresses, they get lower.
Right.
And I think that I've actually noticed over the last 5 to 10 years, those have actually changed a little bit. Like where it starts a little bit lower scoring and then it gets higher. A lot of times these big games these days over the past few years have actually seen goals. And I think it's just with the change of how hockey is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you saw the Four Nations, you watch some of those games, they're ending 2-1, 3-2. I mean, 3-2 was like a high scoring game, went to overtime. But I think that you kind of have to look at it like that. What are you going to expect from a prop perspective? I know Andy Lang, who you're very familiar with, he loves betting players not to get a point. And I think I'll be looking at that a lot early in some of these series as well, because as much as you want to bet on guys to do things well, there's also a great market to bet unders. And I know people don't like unders, but when there's 4 lines of guys out there playing hockey, only so many guys can get a point, as you mentioned. It's such low scoring hockey in the playoffs.
And you have a not record a point prop at plus 120. Why?
Well, this is a great storyline, and this is kind of the most drama we saw this year in the NHL.
We love drama.
Well, Mikko Rantanen was kind of like it was the Batman Robin. He was kind of like that second guy on Colorado right next to Nathan McKinnon, and he wanted more money, and he was a free agent after this season. So he kind of got blindsided by the team, and he got traded midway through the year to Carolina. He ended up saying to the media, like, no, like almost like saying like, I was kind of playing hardball. I would have taken whatever they offered me. Went to Carolina, and then Carolina was trying to offer him a deal, and he said, well, I'm not going to sign here either. So then Carolina was screwed, and they traded him to Dallas. So what do you know? First round playoff matchup, Colorado versus Dallas. So it's
Shocker.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool the way it works out. It's a shame with the way the format is, though, that these are, in my opinion, 2 of the best teams in the West have to play in the first round. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of attention on him. I think the players know him. The team knows him. When they're doing their pre-scout and their film, they know him. And you got to love getting plus 120 on a prop like this. So Mikko Rantanen from Dallas to not get a point and take away all the drama. I think that this Dallas team is a very deep team. So they're a good team to bet players not to get points on, because any given night, you know, this guy over here and this line could score, and this guy over here and this line could score. They're very unpredictable, which makes it pretty good for betting guys not to get a point.
Listen, Andrew's really sharp with this stuff. So to see that he's got plays plus 115, plus 120, plus 105, there's clearly so much value on the board. He's not one of the first people to tell me either that the prop market in the Stanley Cup playoffs is the way to go. And you've got one more prop that you like at 1 or more points, plus 105. Why?
You know, Jonathan Drouin from the Colorado Avalanche, I like him because he flies under the radar. You know, there's so many kind of superstar and flashy type players on Colorado with Nathan McKinnon, with Natchez, with Mark McCarr, all these guys. He just flies under the radar. And again, plus 105. I don't want to be filling the board with all these minus prices. I do like that 135 one just because of that 1.5 shots on goal number. But this guy's a playmaker. He's out there on the first unit power play. And anytime you can get a player that's on the first power play unit in a plus price, you really, really have to jump all over that, because they're going to get out there every single time. So it adds to their ice time. A really good passer, but not afraid to score goals as well, which is why we're not taking the assists. We're just taking that plus 105 number. But out of all the players in the team, I think he's the one that kind of goes underappreciated and under talked about.
I like it. I love all the value that you put out there on the board. There's also value for the Conn Smythe Trophy. And obviously there's a lot of different ways to go and bet this MVP award, because you've got to figure out who you think is going to win it all. And there's so many fun ways to play it with, hey, if you think, like, Andrew, there are so many players for the Conn Smythe Trophy that you could find someone that you think like definitely should win it if their team wins, and you're getting like double the odds of what you normally would have gotten for their team to just win it outright. And of course, there's factors in just like narrowing down one player, but it's similar to the NFL where typically it's a quarterback. So who do you like for Conn Smythe?
Exactly. And like, I love seeing people do that in the NFL playoffs where they're like, oh, I'm frustrated. I didn't get this team, you know, at a good number, but all of a sudden you can get their quarterback at 12-1. It doesn't really make any sense to me because, like you said, you're going to get that. So I'll tell you, I like Colorado to win the Stanley Cup. I have a future on them already. And my number actually that I have on the Stanley Cup odds is 13-1. Got that a little while back. So now, since you can't get 13-1 anymore, you can get Nathan McKinnon, their best player, at 13-1 to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. So if you missed the price that I was able to get
you
on
mean
the Stanley Cup,
it's cut in half right now, around plus 650?
Yeah, and now you can kind of get that by betting the Conn Smythe Trophy. So I will preface it with this: he did not win it the last time they won, but I kind of look at it like this. Remember when Steph Curry didn't win the Finals MVP? I feel like this is McKinnon's turn. If they win the cup this time, he'll win it.
Storylines.
It is.
That's why you can't bet it in New York. They don't like that someone votes for it, and it's a storyline.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point. But look at across the board. I mean, when you look at some of these numbers, like if you compare Tampa Bay, their numbers versus their best player, Kucherov, like Kucherov is 28-1 to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. Like if I'm betting on Tampa Bay to win the Stanley Cup, I'm just betting on Kucherov. Right now, if you think Winnipeg is going to win the Stanley Cup, you have to bet Connor Hellebuck at 18-1, who's their goalie. He got voted the best goalie in the league again this year. So I'm not saying it's just the only way you can go, but like you talk about value, and if you're waiting so long to bet futures, you might as well be betting the Conn Smythe.
Have something longer than 10-1 to enjoy through the NHL playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoffs are the best because you just never know. Like, it's one of the only playoffs, like March Madness level of, except now with NIL. So pre-NIL.
Yeah, the transfers.
You never know. Series bets, you like the Hurricanes, and here's how you're doing the Hurricanes, which is what I normally do when I see heavy juice. The market of betting a game one with them to win a series. That's what you're going to do for the Hurricanes, right?
That's what I'm doing. I love that number, -110. You go from like a really hefty, juicy price. And
yeah, it's like minus 250 for the Canes to win a series.
It's gotten bad. And I'll just say that not a lot of teams have home ice advantage anymore. I feel like that's kind of gone away. But Carolina is one of them. So because of that, they get the first game being at home. So they're a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, did that die, or do they still say that?
I like that. No, I like that. And you know, I think that a lot of people don't realize this, but in the NHL, it's not just about home ice advantage. You actually have an advantage to the game as well. You get the last change. So your coach gets to see who the other team is going to put out on the ice, and then you get to put your players out there after. So it's a really good home ice advantage for them.
Okay, Hurricanes, -110, game one in the series. The LA Kings, they're another team that they've got to get over this hump. And you think that they're going to do it this time? They're going to get to the next round?
4 straight years they've played the same team in the first round. And not going to lie, as a Canadian, I think I've rooted for Edmonton all 4 of those years, or all of those years. This year, I'm not. I like LA, and I talk about Carolina being a team that I respect their home ice advantage. I respect LA's home ice advantage. And the fact that they won that just a couple of days ago in their last meeting against Edmonton, I think it's huge to get those matchups of their choice, to get the home ice if it does go 7 games. And I just think they're a deeper team. It's so weird because Edmonton has 2 of the best players in the world, but after that, there's not much there.
Eric is saying in the chat, Avalanche tomorrow night, money. It's only -130 range that I'm seeing right now on the money line for game one.
I like it. And this, we have seen Dallas come in, I think 7 straight losses going into the playoffs.
Wow. I mean, the Dallas Stars were the first time that I had a bet on the Stanley Cup playoffs. No joke. It was during COVID. I was bored, and we had some hockey people come on my show, and I was at Sports Grid. Someone gave out Dallas Stars to, I couldn't remember if it was I think it was to like win the conference, or it must have been to win the conference or to win the Stanley Cup. And that was the year they made it to the Stanley Cup finals, and then they lost. And ever since, I just feel like the Stars have been that team where you think they look good, then the playoffs come and they just fall apart.
And that's why I'm saying it's a real shame. A lot of people don't like this format for the way it works within the divisions, because if your division is really good, like Florida and Tampa Bay have to play each other in the first round. That to me shouldn't be taking place over there in the Atlantic. Same thing for Dallas and Colorado, because every year Dallas is one of the favorites this year going into the season, and they have to play Colorado in the first round. It seems kind of ridiculous.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You have to look at the path that these teams have to take. Of course, that could be any sport. In hockey, there are certain teams that definitely have way tougher paths than others. Who would be a team that you think has an easy path that's worth putting some money on for the futures market? And who would be a team that you say, oh my gosh, their path is horrible, stay away?
Well, I think a lot of people are discounting Carolina right now. I think that the Metropolitan Division is a lot lighter than the Atlantic Division, and those are on the Eastern Conference side. So Carolina, like I said, they traded away one of their players to Colorado, as I was talking about that whole midseason drama. And then they didn't even get to retain the player that they traded for because he told them he wouldn't sign back in the offseason. But they're kind of like the Eastern Conference version of what you were describing Dallas is. So I think because of that, they could be my team because, look, I'm a diehard Montreal Canadiens fan. Out of every team I cheer for in the world, I'm the most diehard Montreal guy. Like, I will pass up on a night out with friends to stay home on a Saturday to watch this team. Like, I am that diehard in the middle of December. Wow. Oh, I just love it. And they
You're
just
like 9-year-old Ariel.
They're the 8th seed. So they're playing Washington. I don't know how they're going to fare, but the winner of Washington and Montreal will play the winner of Carolina, New Jersey. So I think that that's kind of a lighter one. And on the other side, I mean, again, I'll probably say it like Dallas. I think Dallas is tough. I know I'm kind of repeating myself and going pretty hard on Colorado, but I just think for them to have such a good season, for them to come in the start of the year with the expectations they've had and play Colorado first round, it's crazy.
No, the Stanley Cup playoffs are just overall crazy. We haven't brought up the Vegas Golden Knights yet. What do you think of them?
Vegas bugs me because they have not been bad since they came to the league.
Don't take it out on Vegas because you don't like how you feel when you wake up there in the morning.
Oh, well, if that's what we were doing, I would really not like them. But, like this team has just been good ever since they've existed. Ever since they've been a team, they've been great. And then they pull some of these injury, loophole stuff. But if I'm being serious, they have a really good group of leaders. For long term, they don't have a lot of young players, but they don't really worry about the long term. This team just builds every single season. They've got a lot of veterans and a good goaltender. I think Minnesota could make their series respectable. But I think when you look at the West right now, and you talk about Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, and some of these teams, everyone's kind of forgetting about Vegas. I wouldn't talk anybody off a future on Vegas right now.
One series that has really stood out to me is this Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning series. How could you see that one going?
So I do like Tampa, but it's kind of worrying me, and I know you're going to get what I'm saying with this, that it seems like everybody likes Tampa. And that sometimes can be a scary feeling, right? When everybody think you have a hot take. Yeah, I thought I had a hot take, but apparently not. Everybody.
Well, the funny part is that the Panthers are the third shortest odds to win the cup at plus 750. Tampa is 7th on the list at 10-1.
Exactly. That's why I thought I had a hot take until everybody in the world bet on Tampa as well. But because it's obviously a salary cap league and a hard cap, a lot of times Stanley Cup winning teams lose a lot of players in the offseason. And Florida lost a hell of a lot of players, whether it was defensive players, great offensive players, whoever it might have. They lost their backup goaltender as well. So they lost a lot of stuff. And I think that this year, the chemistry has been a little bit harder to come by, and the injuries still haven't really healed up. Tampa, they just have such great cohesion. They actually brought back a player from Seattle that they used to have 3 years ago when they won the Stanley Cup. So if anything, they got players back, and Florida lost players. So I like Tampa.
I'm going to just go back to your props that you gave out before. Which one would you say is your favorite prop on the list? And you don't have to pick one if you don't like to. I hate sometimes best bets, but if you do have a favorite, which one is it?
I'm going to say the Niederreiter one, and I know I'm picking the -1, but
okay.
I just think that the way he's going to kind of stand out here, he's not really, again, the star of the team for Winnipeg. He's not Kyle Connor. He's not Mark Scheifele. He's not the most main guy on the team. But for a team like Winnipeg, you don't really want to bet the main characters. You want to bet third or fourth options. And I think that's why his number is 1.5 and not 2.5 or 3.5. So I really like this number at -135, second line left winger, and should be a really, really good opportunity for him, especially with them getting the home ice.
I love it. And listen, I'm always willing to lay a little bit of juice. I always cut myself off at -150. My strikeout props, I say that's my cutoff. Minus 135. A lot of winning sides are that number. So everyone make sure to check out Andrew McKinnis over at Wager Talk. Let everyone know what you're doing through the Stanley Cup playoffs.
First of all, thank you again very much for having me. Great to be on with you. And puck time, 11 a.m. Eastern, every single weekday over at wagertalk.com. And of course, doing all kinds of videos as well on my Twitter at McGinnis Picks.
Andrew, thank you so much. And really, best of luck this weekend. And we'll probably have you on again soon throughout the playoffs.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Yes, I got it. We've got 10 minutes until my real happy hour begins. I cannot wait. I have stayed off the wine all week. I haven't had a sip of wine since Saturday, I think. So, no, Sunday. It was Passover this weekend. Right? Yeah, it was Passover. So we had family dinner on Sunday. So Sunday was the last time I had wine. It's waiting for me. Let's start with, I'll go, because you know what? I just mentioned like Passover and my grandpa loved it. So I'm going to go with his favorite segment, propaganda. Propaganda. Wait. Why is this not working? There we go. These are the most bet on props today. Of course, we have already seen some of these take action because these games already happened. Actually, what's funny is that some of these actually did hit, which is pretty incredible. Eugenio Suarez is the one that had the grand slam, I'm pretty sure, in the Cubs Diamondbacks game. So that started things in the scoring. I'm going to go back to that box score, by the way. This is probably going to take me way too long to do this, but Eugenio Suarez and Kyle Tucker, pretty sure, had home runs today. So that's pretty good for the public. Let me go to that crazy 8th inning. So in the 8th inning, Eugenio Suarez, he homered to center, and that was a grand slam that made it 7-5 Cubbies. And then Kyle Tucker homered to right, and that gave the Cubbies a 12-11 lead. So congratulations to the public. You're doing great today. So does that mean that we're going to get another home run from one of these big name players? We'll see. Just wanted you guys to see that. James Wood, Aaron Judge, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are some of the most bet on props for today. These are some of the overs that you can look at today on the Major League Baseball slate that have not happened yet. These players all have good numbers against their starters. Yandy Diaz, 364 with a homer against Rodon. Jesse Winker, he's hitting 375 with 2 homers and a double against Miles Michaelis. So you can maybe look over his total bases. Bryce Harper has good numbers with 4 doubles and 2 home runs against Sandy. Wait, I think I did that wrong. I have to double check that. I think it's, hold on. I think that that's wrong. Am I right on that? I have the numbers up here. It doesn't seem right. Bryce Harper. Yeah, I knew that was. Oh, no, it's right. 4 doubles and a home run. Okay, never mind. I'm right. 4 doubles and a home run for Bryce Harper against Sandy Alcantara. Trey Turner also has great numbers against Alcantara with 2 doubles and a homer, hitting 361. Alec Boehm, he's also hitting well against Alcantara. Lots of Phillies clearly hitting well against Alcantara. So I would look at Harper, Turner, and Boehm doing well tonight. Wilmer Flores actually has really good numbers against Tyler Anderson. And Freddie Freeman, overall, his numbers aren't great. Like his batting average isn't great. Freddie Freeman overall is hitting, where did I see it? 242 against Jacob deGrom in his career through 66 at-bats. However, 3 home runs. So out of all of the batters today that are facing pitchers, Freddie Freeman has the most home runs against his starting pitcher, like the one he's facing. Unders to look at, not that many. Jorge Soler, he's hitting 143 with a homer against Logan Webb. That's the late game tonight. Brandon Nimmo, he's only hitting 105 with a double and a homer against Michaelis. Pete Alonso. So maybe we just stay away from Alonso today against Michaelis. Not the greatest slate for him. Now we go to Fishy Lines. Your fishy line of the day is actually different than this morning's premium newsletter fishy line because, shocker, there was buyback on the Dodgers. Fishy line of the day, Phillies Marlins. So for everyone writing in the chat about this one, Phillies Marlins is your fishy line of the day. I am not trusting Zach Wheeler yet. I know it sounds terrible, but Zach Wheeler hasn't been off to the best start. He started off okay, but the last couple of games, he's allowed 9 runs through those 2 games. Opponents, they are hitting him hard in the third time around. 391, third time through the order. Last year, that number was only 187. Wheeler's 11-4 with a 2.73 ERA and 25 starts against Miami. However, last year, 4.86 ERA against Miami, going 1-1 with 9 runs allowed through 3 starts. The Marlins, their Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara on the mound. They have won all 3 of his starts so far this season. Not so much because of Alcantara, but because of the 16 runs of support they've given him this year. Alcantara, he has a 3.40 ERA against the Phillies through 19 starts. He's a great pitcher. So that's my fishy line of the day is the Philadelphia Phillies had a 10-cent move against them. I would be looking at the Marlins. In my mind, it's Marlins or nothing today. And I would say the same thing about the Dodgers game because I would tell you about this Dodgers game, and I'm going to just double check sorry, Grandma doesn't like that I say going to double check this line. This line moved from Texas plus 122 to plus 112 overnight. Then there was buyback on the Dodgers because that's what tends to happen with the Dodgers. So this game is at Rangers plus 120. So yeah, there was buyback. This is what's annoying about the Dodgers. Most of my fishy lines tend to stay. The overnight line move, it stays. The Dodgers, every single time I go to sleep, the number's one thing. I wake up, it's a 10-15 cent move against them. I come back on this show at 5 o'clock, and the line's back in favor of the Dodgers. Back to like what it was last night. These groups just move these lines. They try to get the Dodgers at a better price. So anytime I say fishy lines on the Dodgers, just be careful. I do still like the Rangers tonight, though. I could see why they could be successful against the Dodgers. Their pitching staff in Texas has been great. It is the best American League rotation, ERA, 3.17. 3.86 team ERA is 13th in Major League Baseball. They were a perfect 5-0, the Rangers, in 1-run games. If this game is close, don't sweat the Rangers quite so quickly. Another interesting stat. So per Fangraphs, Texas 2.7 base running runs, 3rd best in majors and leads American League. So they get on base and they score. The Dodgers, they may hit home runs, but they don't really steal. In fact, the only time you will ever hear that the Colorado Rockies and the Los Angeles Dodgers are in the same sentence is right now. The only team to steal less bases this year than the Los Angeles Dodgers is the Colorado Rockies. So the Rangers have won 9 of 10 at home to start the year. The series is in Texas. Just saying. Don't go. There's a reason that the Dodgers are laying $2 to $3 each game, and now they're only laying about minus 140. This series is going to be interesting. That is not part of my best bets of the day, though. Let's go to Royal Locks. The Royal Locks of the day, my best bets. Here are your strikeout props for tonight, and I've got some NBA. Oh, I did forget to talk a little NBA today. Sorry, guys. We talked hockey instead. Cade Povich to go over 4.5 strikeouts. It's a play that I really like today. He is the Orioles starter tonight, and he's going up against the Cincinnati Reds. Povich is being undervalued by the books. He's coming off back-to-back starts where he did not go over this. However, his first start of the year, Povich had 8 strikeouts, and that was against the Red Sox, one of the most strikeout-prone teams against lefties in baseball. The Reds are averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game against lefties. That number was the same last year. Nestor Cortez, Tyler Alexander, Andrew Heaney all had 6 strikeouts against the Reds. Taking the over here on Povich at home, 4.5 Ks. Atlanta's righty Bryce Elder. I also like his under 4.5 Ks. Mid-major Matt mentioned this on the show earlier. Elder, he started twice this year. He had 3 and 4 strikeouts against the Dodgers and the Rays. These are 2 teams that are striking out a full strikeout more than the Minnesota Twins. Even last year, Elder had 3 starts that he went against a low K rate team. Elder didn't even touch 4 strikeouts in those 3 starts. This Minnesota team is averaging just under 4 strikeouts a game against righty starters, with 12 of the 16 righty starters to face them going under their strikeout prop. So I'm taking the under on Elder. And lastly, the center for the Heat, Bam Adebayo. I am going back over 19.5 points. I liked it on Wednesday. It lost because of a blowout. He had 15 points with like 8 minutes left in the game. It lost. It's fine. We're going back to it again. It's a 1-point spread. This game should be close. Dyson Daniels is the guard for the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to be able to stop Tyler Hero from putting 30-plus up like he did on Wednesday. That means Bam Adebayo has to come through to keep this game close and put points on the board for the Heat. There is nobody on the Hawks side of the ball that can defend Bam. The size mismatch is just too much. Bam's going to have a field day, and he could shoot. I mean, we are talking 10 of the last 11 playoff games that Bam has put up 20-plus. He's going over 19.5 points tonight. Those are my 3 Royal Locks of the day. Best bets heading into the weekend. So hopefully you guys all can cash, and we can have a great weekend together. That's it for us here on the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. We'll be back 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time right here, Monday through Friday. See you next week.